Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Back Yourself podcast here on a Sunday Arvo. Death, taxes and us, talking footy. That's pretty much how the state of affairs are at the moment, my friend.
What do you want to talk about basketball?
I would say, personally, it's going to get right into the thick of things. Some good things out of this round, punting-wise, I would say, and I will allude to that later. But
It's Titans one.
as a fan of the sport, I would be quite frustrated with how all these games played out because week by week, the games make less sense in my eyes. Capped off by the one that's live at the moment. For those of you that don't know,
This is a back yourself second time ever happened.
this is the second time ever we've recorded during the last game of Sunday because it was just so one-sided that it was. I'm pretty sure it was another Manly game. Raiders Para.
Yeah, but why was it? Why is it so one-sided?
Yeah, I'll tell you guys in a minute. But, yeah, so I have mixed emotions about this round, Chrissy. How did you feel about this one, champion?
Up, down, sideways. You know, it's the rugby league, but I think 3 rounds in, we still don't know anything. We need 10 rounds before we know something.
Genuinely, Chris, 3 rounds in, we don't know anything. Probably about 14 teams.
Yeah, they're all
I would
mystery.
say so far we know. All right, Tigers are actually good.
Okay, yeah.
Dolphins are actually terrible.
Yep.
And Para are like incapable.
I think they're incapable.
That's it.
I think everyone else we don't know,
We
right?
don't know, right? One week you think Brisbane's the best team ever, then you're like, wait, they couldn't really blow out Cowboys and
then
they
you're
got
like,
smashed
have
by
Cowboys
Raiders.
given up?
Oh, but okay, so Raiders must be good because they smashed Warriors and Broncos.
Look at the score.
Now they go and lose by 200. Oh no, Warriors they're the good ones now because they have 2 wins. But yeah.
No, they're not.
Well, I'll get to that. But anyway, how about we start with the downs, as far as you are concerned, with the grand final rematch, the only overs of the round. We'll see what happens in this Raiders game. But full-time result, 30-24 against Jack Cole and Blaise Talungi for 73 minutes of this match, mate. Obviously, sent out -8.5. I think you were like quite headstrong with this one of Melbourne are going to annihilate these guys. And you know what? At 14-0 with Cleary walking off the pitch, I'm pretty sure, like, first of all, the live line was like 33.5, which was insane. And second of all, I'm pretty sure everyone and their dog, including Ivan Cleary in the coach's box, was like, this might get to fucking 50-0. But
Well, yeah.
From that point forward, what was your takeaway from this round?
Well,
from this fixture
the only thing you can take away, seeing as today even more stupid than every other day, literally you can't take, like, what you take away is on a week-to-week basis. Because this Penrith side, if they played with half that heart against Roosters the week before, they would have beaten them.
They would have annihilated them.
So, like, cap off, and probably by the end of the year they're going to be there again because it's Penrith, right? But Melbourne, on the other front, like, they haven't tried in both matches.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
And it's going to be hard for us to say now. The issue is now, who do you put first in power ranking if it's not Melbourne? Yeah, it's by default.
Yeah. Well,
because all the other idiots have done something or played shit, and you're like, well, how can you put them up there?
There's another team that played today, but you'll never put them up
No,
there.
but I wouldn't put them second. They didn't play great today.
I understand, but everyone has a loss except these two.
No, I agree, right? That's fine. But in terms of, like, power rankings, when you look at them play, you were like, all right, they've played 3 losers.
Yeah.
So
which is what we would say.
Yeah. So this is completely sidetracked because I have to talk about power at some point. But in terms of Melbourne, they took their foot off the gas. You can't explain it any other way. They were 14-0 up in 2 seconds. Should they go for the 2 points? No. And I wish if a fan out there has enough time and just able to do this for me, I'd love to see how many times teams take the 2 and concede the next try.
The next set would be better information for me.
Because it's
Dolphins, you fucks.
It's just constant. Every time someone takes the 2, the momentum shifts. And I don't know why teams do it. No one can defend in this league. The only way you defend is the only way you can defend is if the other team is incapable.
Yeah.
It's not that they defend. It's not that, oh, bro, that was great defense. They stopped them. They are incapable.
Yeah. The other team just doesn't even know.
And that it was illustrated in the Knights game. It illustrated the Para game. It wasn't that Dogs I thought defended really well, but, like, it didn't matter. I know if Moses was there, they would have won.
Yeah.
So, like, in my eyes, like, defense is out the window, and everyone wants to take the 2 for no reason.
And not that we're going to recap the Para game now, but to your point, as awful as Para's attack was,
Yeah.
the Dogs' attack was just as awful.
Yeah.
Yet Para just like, oh, okay, so looking for Fida, you can go and score.
Yeah, well,
2 minutes
that
in,
was
right?
well,
So
that
it's
was
like,
the difference, right?
Yeah. So
It was 6 points for so long. So let's get back to the Penrith-Melbourne. Melbourne-Penrith game. Melbourne shot out of a cannon. Thought if Cleary played, I reckon they would have lost by 30 plus.
Wow. Okay.
I think Cleary coming off kind of were like, all right, come on, guys, it's the Blaze. And he literally can't play fullback, which I think is the more talking point in this. And I said this on Wednesday when Laurie got ruled out. Is he that awful?
Yeah. No, it's alarming that.
That Jenkins had to play fullback.
Yeah.
Like, next week, Laurie is supposed to come back maybe. Is Jenkins just going to get named again?
I think so.
This is ridiculous. Like, Ivan, yeah, he didn't look that bad.
He actually looks. The more confusing part is once he got in there, he looked okay.
And he played in the line.
Yeah.
He's defending in the line. Defending a fullback is a different story to defending in the line. And I look, it baffles me. I don't think he's that bad. I didn't see anything bad from him. And I'm sure Para, especially today of all days, would have loved to have him at 5'8" instead of Dean Hawkins and put Dylan Brown to halfback, and they probably would have beaten Dogs.
I think I'd rather Blaze Tulungi and Dylan and fucking Footy Dean at this point.
Oh, we'll get to it, yeah. But
Mr. Net Worth.
I don't think there's much else to say. Penrith DNA, they will be there in the run at the end. Is that is back-to-back losses a bit, scary, and then going into 3 losses in a row potentially against the South side, which we'll get to them as well. But you don't see Penrith often lose 2 in a row, regardless who's out there. So they did lose 2 in a row. Melbourne, 2 wins. You have to put them first in power rankings. They're the best team at the moment.
I think we learned that, like I said in the preview of, I can't be bothered going against these guys. And this was the reason. These cunts, you just can't put them away.
Give up. Why don't they give up?
Even when you can say, for example, in the Roosters game, oh, Penrith were atrocious. That was the worst Penrith game I've ever seen.
Cares.
These cunts were still a chance to win on the 80th minute, right? Even when you're like, oh, they don't have Cleary. They're literally running out Jenkins, Tulungi, without a week of preparation. Jenkins, Tulungi, Jack Cole, and Mitch Kenny. That is the worst talent-wise spine in the NRL. If they ran it out on a week-to-week basis,
which they're going to next week.
Let alone they essentially ran it out down 14-0
to Melbourne,
reigning in Melbourne.
Yeah,
when these guys it's grand final revenge. It's put a foot to the throat and put these cunts away. Is the psychological dynamic of Cleary going down and them immediately scoring to make it 12-0? Look, the annoying thing is, if this was Penrith gunning for Melbourne's head and Penrith went up 12-0 and Hughes went down, I know Penrith wouldn't be like, oh, Hughes went down, let's stop trying.
Yeah, of course not.
But that's the stupid thing of even Bellamy, legit,
that's what
when Cameron Smith interviewed him post-game, I thought Melbourne lost the way this guy was going on about, I don't know what the fuck these guys were doing that they just mailed it in after that.
Well, that's what Melbourne have in them. And that's why Penrith have been 4-time champs. They're consistent.
Yes.
No matter what, this is their performance. And even when Cleary went down, this is their performance. And it's infuriating to watch because you want to see them give up or the skill gap finally give in. But it never happens. They're just at that level.
Which truly puts them at even every time they just widen the gap of how I think about them compared to the rest of the league. Every time someone has an opportunity to, if they're not Melbourne, right? Because Melbourne's the only team we would say, they are of the elk of fucking Penrith. Whether it's Roosters, Sharks, Souths when they were good, any of these losers play them. Anytime they have an opportunity to be we can compete with these guys, they always fuck it up. And then Melbourne, when they have a chance to literally blow them out of the water for... How different would we react to this game if Melbourne just went on with the job, completed their sets, and applied some pressure to Penrith for a good 10-minute stretch? We literally would have seen 36 to fucking 4 full time, right? But Melbourne's we're up 14-0, Cleary's down. We'll just fucking start throwing the footy around.
Well, I want to highlight for all the Penrith fans that watch this. If he played the whole game, you wouldn't have won. I don't think that it was a lot of people say they only lost by 6. So if Cleary played, no. It's a different story. But I think it just shows how great they are. Can Penrith be beaten? I think it truly comes down to seeding. If they don't make the 4, there is a chance. And they're a chance to get to the grand final, win the grand final outside the 4, but it makes a whole lot more difficult.
Yeah.
And now luckily they play South, but they could, if they played like someone decent next week, they would have lost again.
Yeah.
And they would be 1-3, which top 4 is like almost like, all right, these guys are done. And out of the 5 teams that I have ahead, Dogs are kind of in the mix now, but we'll get to them. 4 of them won.
Yeah.
The only team that lost was Penrith. So you're kind of like, oh, well, all right, they're going to have to string some wins somewhere. And Cleary, you can see how they are without him. If they play the Bums, they probably beat them. But during that Origin period, you can't know for sure if they're going to win any of those games. So it's a very different scenario. Cleary starting, then coming off, then Cleary not being there at all.
Yeah. I would feel like no matter where Penrith finish in the 8, as long as they make the 8, I would still have them power rated second.
Yeah, they would.
Assuming that their players are available.
Yeah, assuming everyone's there. Maybe not second. I'd put them top 3.
I think they've they've gained so much faith in the last 5 years that I'm not sure I could see anything out of the regular season that would make me be like, oh yeah, I would favour Sharks over them.
No, I think not
only Melbourne.
Melbourne and
because Melbourne,
Cronulla.
don't get it twisted. These cunts haven't even tried one game yet.
But Melbourne and Cronulla.
Look on the look at Dragons.
Whew, especially you beat them last year. Wow. Zerophos brother, shout out to you.
At the end of the day, I think plus 9.5 was probably the right side. Did Penrith would they have won if Cleary had played? Probably not.
No, I don't think so.
It was a costly game for both teams because now Hughes breaks his hand and needs surgery. He was out for a couple of weeks. There's question marks on the fitness of Pappy. Hopefully that's just a knock to his ankle and he's going to be okay. And
Meaney's out.
A couple of outside backs. Nelson broke Meaney's jaw, I think, for no reason. And I would think Warbrick would come back next week. Obviously, Cleary, mandatory 11-day concussion protocol, which... Do you have any comments on this concussion, sir?
Look, they lost by 6, sure. I got nothing to say. If they got annihilated... I'll just be like, oh, well, that's convenient.
Yeah.
It was awful, but I hope he's all right, and this has got nothing to do with that. But the only thing I want to question is how quickly they called it a Cat 1, and there's many other scenarios, i.e. in the next game, exactly the next game afterwards, which I thought the player was much worse, and they deemed it a Cat 2 until after he didn't pass his HA and they were like, yeah, it's actually a Cat 1. Yeah. I think how immediate it was, it literally was between 5 minutes of him coming up, it's a Cat 1, he's off.
Yeah. I think the symptoms of him looking like very woozy and he lost his consciousness. You got to look after the eyes.
Of course. Of course.
But that's probably a good segue into the next game. Shout out to Barnesy, shout out to J-Maz. The Sydney Roosters go to New Zealand and lose, as Chris ever so eloquently predicted. Chrissy?
Yeah.
Did Robbo make a mistake by bringing out the big guns?
There's nothing to say. We don't lose. It's done. They lost. And Warriors are not good. Any capacity. So, geez, don't think... First of all, before I get into my analysis about Roosters, there's nothing good about you cunts. Let's just say it the way it is, all right? You've gone 2-0 in New Zealand. Now you want to cover there after last year when you couldn't win one game. And now you think you're gangsters. There's nothing good about you cunts. Moving on. Roosters couldn't score. And... what's fascinating is against the Penrith, which Penrith had an off day, they scored 38 points. Melbourne didn't even get that without Cleary there. I mean, it's just one polar to another.
This is what I'm saying. Nothing makes sense.
And look, this one makes a little bit more sense to me. It just shows like when Roosters are expected to do anything, they deliver garbage. And when they're expected to do nothing, especially in the last 6 years before their last grand final, when expected to do nothing, that's when they show up. Conveniently, prelim final against Cronulla, when they had nothing, semi-final, they had nothing, they conveniently show up. Melbourne, when they had nothing and went to Melbourne, and it took Warbrick to score in the corner to win. But when they're expected to do anything, they fuck it up. And they fucked it up. There is nothing good about Warriors. But anyone that sits there and goes, oh yeah, Warriors really deserve to win, truly didn't watch the game. Roosters fucked it up. Roosters cannot score all of a sudden. Chad Townsend can't kick as well as Capewell, which one of our mates said. Shout out JB. And all of this didn't happen last week because they were not rated. No one expected it. Radley wasn't there to get concussed for the 50th time in a row. The fact he doesn't have a Cat 1 every time he gets concussed bewilders me. And the player I was talking about Cat 1 before is Connor Watson, who literally went on the ground like this. And they were like, nah, it's a Cat 2. Go do your test, bro. And then they were like, nah, it's Cat 1. He's out. And Roosters, it's scary hours now. If you lose next week to Titans, it's 1-3. Like, genuine bottom four scenario.
Well, like, what would the scenario be if they lost to Penrith?
If they lost to Penrith, it would be 0-4.
Yeah, big trouble. Look, Warriors, to be honest, you guys aren't good at all. And we actually ended up sending out as a best bet under 51.5. Because I was approaching it like, look, this is a pick 'em. Both these teams are probably as bad as each other. I actually don't want to end up taking a side.
Don't say it logically. You just said Warriors are playing. You can't be over 50.
Well, that's the beauty of it, right? I was like, wait a minute. Why is this 50 when Warriors are involved? And then it made sense to me that every Roosters game has 1,000,000 points in it. So I was like, okay, of the two great powers, is it more likely to go overs because of Roosters, or is it more likely to go unders because of Warriors? And thankfully, we were on the right side of that. Warriors... You guys are, like, not good, to be honest.
I'm telling you.
I still have you guys power rated very low. The fact that you're 2-1 is good for you guys, and, you've done some good things in the last 2 weeks to win, but the attack does not convince me at all. I feel like Roosters on a better day would have won this probably by, 12 or 14. They won the line break count, 7-3 in the end. Bunch of mini breaks throughout the 80 minutes where... I feel like Roosters, again, very typical of them. And this is why I was saying that they can go and put 38 on Penrith and then fucking mail it in the next
they scored
week.
6.
Because their style of expansive play, when it works for them, it works great. And that's why we saw last year they kept fucking beating everyone 70-0. But when it doesn't work for them, it goes the other way.
Oh, yeah.
And they just wanted 12-4 so badly that they had 6-4 and it was 6-4 for 50 straight minutes of nobody scoring.
Yeah.
And Teddy saved the try in the corner.
Well, that was
Warriors,
the whole round.
And Warriors saved the try or two as well. But Roosters kept pressing for 12-4 and in the end they made enough errors to allow Harris Tavita to fucking bomb it in the air and chase it and catch it himself. Michael Jordan over here. That was their try to get the lead. So
I was going to say,
whatever.
Roosters, isn't that your strength, in the air? How do you let Harris Tavita?
Look, to me, that was probably the most random try of the round. So I want to give a shout out to the Warriors center. That guy's actually a beast. Ali Leatala. That guy, he scored a double. He's actually a fucking weapon. So I think Warriors have been devoid of gun center for a long time now, and this kid looks like he's the real deal. So that was encouraging. Roger, unfortunately, tore some hamstring. We're not sure the strain of that, but obviously he's going to be out for a while. Made a try-saving tackle with the torn hamstring, which shows Roger's character. Again, Metcalf, Harris Tavita didn't really impress me at all. Chanzi was busy, but
he's always busy.
The sort of game where that Chanzi could have a big impact on because the ball was live for so long and it was a very back-and-forth affair. But again, all that ball Warriors had, and I didn't see Chanzi contribute to anything as far as moving the ball around and actually creating opportunities on the edges, which... legit, their offense is boiled down to we'll kick and pray or we'll go short to Leatala and he'll score. So, okay, that's fantastic.
Genuinely, that could be... I could upset a load against them next week, Roosters.
Yeah, it's possible.
That they didn't impress me. They just showed that, laying points with them is just a terrible case. The way they play.
Well, we can talk about the spread as far as next week goes.
Oh, it went overs.
Yeah, it went overs. Raiders 40-12 full time. I'm really proud of you guys. I think they won the second half 12-10, which is really actually hilarious. But
no, 12 all.
No, it's 30-0, right? So
it was 30. They won the second half.
Good job, Raiders. Yeah. So again, Roosters to come away with 8 line breaks and get 6 points just shows me that the finishing touches weren't there, and you weren't patient enough to actually get it to a point where Warriors just mail it in on their try line. Warriors, again, you guys are not impressing me at all, but you guys keep winning. So what can I really say? A team that also didn't impress me, the Brisbane Broncos, win this game 26-16, failed to cover the spread of 17.5. I feel like it closed, tickled 18, went back to 17 if you took the Cowboys.
Well, how can you cover 17.5?
You were cheering Purdue at the end. Go, son. Go, Purdue. Put it down with your 90-meter intercept try to put the spread beyond doubt. Unfortunately, we were on the Broncos side of things, and I was not impressed with the Broncos. Chris, were you also the same, or was this just a nothing burger of a Friday night game, in your opinion?
No, it was. It just shows Broncos are very high variance. They're just more talented than Roosters, and that's all it is.
Yeah.
They're the same team. In my eyes, Brisbane and Roosters, the way they play is almost identical. They throw the footy around, they go score tries. Just Brisbane are talented and Roosters aren't. That's all it is, and that's why they're winning. This has got nothing to do with Madge. Madge isn't doing anything. Kevin might as well be there, as far as I'm concerned. It's the same garbage. And look, I actually want to shout out to Cowboys. It was either, between them and Para, it was either die completely or show some fight. And at least both of them showed some fight.
Mate.
And I think, like, it does show a little bit of, they will fight a lot longer. The only issue is, I know Cowboys. And the fact that 0-3 is in their head can't be a good thing. And I think, like, they did show a lot of heart in this game and could easily have lost by 50, even with all the errors Brisbane had. But they didn't. And hats off to the Cowboys. But I truly think, like, last is on the table. I think, like, the only thing with them is that, like I said at the start of the season, it's going to be a quitter that's going to come last. And the more losses they get, no matter how good they play, they're going to quit at some point.
Yeah.
And that's it, right?
Yeah.
And this Brisbane game, Brisbane did hand to them. They were, if a Purdue didn't intercept and Brisbane scored, they literally wouldn't have covered again. But they covered this one, were close and probably deserved to cover this one anyway. But overall, I just think, like, they are maybe this close away. I think they're a Raiders loss away from literally giving up.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that about the other teams in the comp. I think what I saw today, the other team that's basically going to come last, and yesterday, I don't think they will mail it in at any point. Especially with one team having the hope of a New South Wales halfback coming back, and the other team, well, they're talented enough. I think Cowboys, literally right now, would be last, and as per what I rated it, they're last. Not because they played bad,
Okay.
because that's all I want to say.
All right, first of all, hats off to the Cowboys for having a go. I think relative to the first 2 weeks, the effort level on a Richter scale of 10 was probably a 9 in this game. They really tried their tails off.
They tried.
What aided them, in my opinion, was the floodgates didn't really have a chance to open up for Broncos early in the game.
Yeah.
Like, Cowboys
Got the ball for 4
had
hours.
the ball literally for 20 minutes straight to start the game, right? And Broncos didn't end up breaking the deadlock until they literally got their first, like, proper set on the Cowboys try line.
Yeah.
Until, like, the 25th minute. So I feel like it would have been a different story if Cowboys, like, let's say they conceded in the 5th minute or something, they would have been like, oh, fuck, it's getting too
that's
hard,
it.
fuck
Yeah,
me,
that's
right?
it, yeah.
So I feel like part of it was aided by the fact that they actually dominated the ball for 20 minutes and they felt like they were in the contest, even though what's concerning me about Cowboys, again, which is what I've been saying the last couple of weeks, and was our take going into the season, is these cunts can't even score anymore.
Yeah, they can't score.
I genuinely believe if they had Val on the left edge, they would have scored at least one try in that first 25 minutes where they had 100% of the ball. But the backline's just shit. Like,
It's awful.
just shit, right? And they don't have that ability to just score out of their assholes anymore. And they can only defend their own goal line for so long. Now, granted, the first try they actually considered was that Reynolds grabber through to Krzyzewski, which
is
at
garbage.
least they didn't just concede some garbage like they normally do through the middle. So I got to give them that. And then I feel like Broncos, it worked for them once, so they just were like multiple times kicking early in the tackle count. There was the one that could have bounced for Arthurs to make it 12-0.
And then they would have given up.
And then Cowboys, like, again, some stupid errors, some stupid penalties to compound it. But Bateman, like, this is where I don't blame Toddy Payton in the grand scheme of the season, because I said that this roster has fucking nothing, right? But how can you look your team in the eyes after the game and during the selection of next week and be like, yeah, Nana's coming off the bench again and we're going to run Bateman out again? Watching him just...
I don't think he's the worst second row. I think that Kai O'Donnell...
No, Bateman, bro.
Bateman.
He just watched Reynolds as he walked in the trial and didn't even care, right? So it's one thing if
He's
your
a
team
tiger.
just like lacks talent and plays like dog shit, but when you can't even get the selections right, it's like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? And this is the sort of thing that he will actually lose the locker room at some point, because they're like, we literally have an Australian back rower and you're fucking picking Bateman instead of him. Like, why would we keep running
they
out
can't
there
score. Don't worry about defense.
Right?
You can't
They
score.
can't score, right? So, all right, 12-0 at halftime. It's pretty much how the first half played out, whatever. Cowboys fucking bomb it and Neem scores in 1 second, and then Taulagi scores 5 minutes later and make it 12-all. And then from 12-all, in the 60th minute, they're a Purdue intercept away from not covering 17 and a half.
Yeah.
And we're sitting here patting them on the back of like, oh, the effort was 9 out of 10.
Well, you know what? Like,
which I want to exacerbate. Like, you can copy paste what I'm about to say for both Para and Cowboys. These guns are truly fucking horrible. That we can sit here and be like, your opposition played shit.
Yeah.
You cunts came in with a 10 out of 10 effort, which is like 1 in a 3
billion
marks from you guys.
Yeah.
And you still look like dog shit.
Well, true. I mean,
you know, could Brisbane have played much worse?
That Cowboys game literally had the same feel as the Sharks game. I thought Brisbane was just going to annihilate them and cover for no reason as well.
Agree, yeah.
And like, luckily that Purdue intercept didn't make that happen, which they had to cover a line because we only have
one team that hasn't covered anything.
Yeah, Cowboys.
No, Dolphins. Because Cowboys covered.
Oh, Para. They're technically...
Para covered. We'll give them the 8.5.
So Dolphins. Oh, yeah, Cowboys covered. And Dogs have 3-0.
Yeah.
So we have 1-1. Exactly. Convenient.
Well,
but
if we're saying Para covered, then we can't say Dogs have covered, but...
Oh, yeah, true.
So,
oh, yeah.
But look,
one or the other.
Look,
push.
Look, that fucking, like... If this is the best Cowboys are going to give us...
But that's all they have.
That's all they have. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's... Look, generally speaking in sport, when you have a team that's 0-2, this applies to the NFL, applies to the NRL, that week 3 game, particularly if it's at home, you get like a colossal effort out of the team. Because they're like, look, if we go 0-3, then we're fucked. So part of my rationale of like maybe Cowboys can cover was, I know they're going to give max effort, but if they gave max effort as they did, and Broncos gave you max execution, these cunts would have executed them on the field.
Yeah, it would have been dead.
Again, sloppy.
It's up to Brisbane, right?
Okay, Jason Tamalolo, he looked pretty good. The Cowboys, like, they are what they are at this point. They're just not great. On the Broncos side of things...
That's shit house.
Yeah, they're shit house. But this is not the week to flame them. If they can get a win next week, we'll see what happens.
They'll never win.
It's a big if. But on the Broncos side of things... Did you can't even change coaches?
Like, it's the same shit. It's like, the same.
If you go out and watch footage of these losers from last year and this year, this is the same team. Like I'm not seeing Madge fingerprints over this team at all. It's just Walsh has been like literally a 0 out of 10 3 weeks in a row now because he's every 2 weeks.
No, week 1 he was good.
Yeah.
But they won 50, right?
Yeah, they won by 50.
So
right? The last 2 weeks, Walsh is just. I think he's averaging like 5 errors a game, which is out of fucking control.
Yeah.
And. Like I said in the Raiders review I think they're going to like tone it back a little bit and try and play like through the middle, but they literally didn't. They're just throwing the footy around again. And
I don't understand. Like, are they even listening to Madge at all, or is this what Madge is telling them? Like, Madge isn't the type of coach to whatever he says doesn't fall on deaf ears. Like, he's going to literally annihilate them, but clearly not. And I think the only issue is. Everyone's going to put paper over the cracks when they annihilate someone. And it's going to happen.
Which they already did in week 1.
No. Just wait. Next team that goes to Suncorp is literally going to die, which is next week.
It seems that way, but shout out to Payne Haas. He had like an all-time great front row performance in this game. He just looks physically possessed this year. And if he can bring that form into the Origin camp, that will be nice for us New South Wales Blues, mate, hopefully. But he's got a cracking try with a Red Sea parted in the middle. Cowboys were tired by then. I won't hold it against him too much. Shout out Matt. I'm sure he probably wants me to flame them, but it's probably not the round. They did cover at least. And speaking of covering,
what are you going to do next week if they lose to Raiders?
Nothing. They did. We said they fucking wouldn't spoon us. This is not the shock to me. Moving on swiftly to Souths.
The 3-0. Oh, they're 3-0.
Yeah, I know. They're 3-0 against the spread because of stupid Humphreys. But before I give the floor to you, I want to say this was one of 2 games this round that, what's my pet peeve on this podcast? I come on and I'm like, I despise when the game's like shift 4, 5, 6 points in the point spread and it's meaningless, right? A la fucking today with the Raiders game, which I'll let you get to when we talk about the Manly game. But this, for those of you that don't know, BackYourself Premium was on minus 14.5. Bet 5 days in advance of the game.
And we needed it.
Game day, you get 17 or 18.5, regardless of where the fuck you shop around, whatever. Sharks go up 26-0. I'll get to the intricacies of how they get up 26-0. But Sharks are up 26-0 with 10 minutes to go. Here comes Souths of War to backdoor cover for the 90th week in a row. Wyden scores some garbage. Humphrey scores some garbage. I'm on the floor like, how many games can this happen in a row? Because this has happened in the Brisbane game already. It's happened on Thursday night in the Penrith game. And then literally for no reason, as the final buzzer is sounding in the background, Trindle kicks a field goal to save us, and Sharkies end up winning this 27-12, which I don't know if that's a scoregami. I've never seen that before, but they win by 15, which just goes to show if you're really plugged in and you're doing your work as far as handicapping the NRL, you could have won on Sharks minus 14.5, and you could have won on Souths 16, 15, 17, 18, 19, whatever the fuck Souths were at any point. You could have won on them. So that's the most redeeming sort of game for me, where I'm like, oh, I could dictate that whether I won or not, right? Mm-hmm. Because half these other games, which is what's annoying me about the sport, all right, you take Roosters in week 1, they lose by 50, and then you're like, well, okay, I'll take Penrith the next week, Roosters win. It doesn't matter if you got 20 points of line value. It's just this is just what's going to happen in this game, and it's out of my control, right?
It's out of your control, right?
At least this one went our way. What did you think of the Sharks and the Rabbitohs playing each other, sir?
Well, first thing I want to check is, speaking of getting your lines early, it does mean shop around Sunday night. Can you go check the Raiders line as of right now? Because I'm curious as to how much the bookies have overreacted to their 500 penalties against them performance. Speaking of South and Sharks, Sharks are not at their best, and they haven't been, right? And they've lost one game by 6, and I think that's alarm bells for the rest of the league.
Sorry,
this is scary hours.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but Raiders actually shortened from 2.5 to 1.5. So
incredible. Because of stupidity.
No, I've got that wrong. Sorry. Raiders have won from 2.5 to 1.5, so they've drifted a little bit.
Okay, and actually just get the Manly line up, because that could be a record.
Yeah. Well,
especially with Turbo back. But Sharks, on the other hand, haven't played great. And is that 19, 20?
15.5.
Is that it?
Yeah.
All right.
Check again on fucking Sunday.
We'll check how many calls they'll get. Yeah. We'll see. So, look, Sharks haven't played great in any of their 3 matches. Would you be concerned as a Sharks fan, Daz, if you do watch this? No, because if they do play great, South would have literally lost by 60. And like I said about South, this time, it wasn't 35 minutes they gave up. 65 minutes they gave up. They didn't look like scoring the whole game. And Cronulla, credit to them, at some point, someone has to say, all right, their defense is getting a little bit better. A little bit. They have played 2 dirt sides, and it will be truly a test when they play a decent team as to how good they are. But I think their offense, the way Trindle is playing, if Hines even does a little bit, they're literally going to beat everyone by 40. And the way they're playing isn't great. Their outside backs are playing okay. They don't have Katoa. Adam Fanua-Blake looks insane. So does Nakora. But the rest of the forwards have been, all right. Hamlin Luele doesn't have the impact that Royce Hunt would have. But still, they go out and win this game. And you know what? They should have covered this game. It was pretty easy pickings pretty much the whole time. On the South front, it's like I already know I can see the future. All of this garbage to give up to Talangi. That's going to happen. I already know what's going to happen next round. Hence my preview for next round. Literally, whatever the Penrith line is, take it, because it's South. And they're going to give their all for 3 matches, and Wayne's going to drill into them this week. All right, this is how we defend Blaze. This is how we defend Jack Cole. This is how we defend Jenkins, who are all part of this worst spine ever. And they're literally going to quit to them, because the way Souths play, it's like they play up to their competition. When they're similar to Roosters in a sense, because in the scenario that now everyone's like, well, can you really lay 7 with Penrith with that spine? I think that's everyone's question. Oh, South's that bad? No, Souths have covered 3 in a row. They're the hot team. They're going to go fuck it up. And I've been saying it for weeks with South. They're truly garbage. And it's literally only Wayne that's keeping them above afloat. Otherwise, they would literally be down there with Cowboys.
What's the South's record against the spread?
3-0.
What would they be if JD was coaching them?
0-3.
What's the Dolphins' record against the spread?
0-3.
What would they be if Wayne was coaching them?
3-0.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Essentially what this
that's
boils
all
down
it is.
To. Souths. That was a truly fucking horrible performance.
Yeah, that was shit.
Cunts. And my takeaway, big picture from that is, 1, Wayne is working magic with these cunts that this didn't get to 70-0. And 2, this is not so impressive from the Sharkies, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, they're not.
They're stacking up wins, and I don't know if they want credit for that, for beating Cowboys and Souths. They don't get it from me. How you... when it comes in my perspective, it's how are you beating these teams when you're getting like Sharks, when you're playing Dragons and Zarefos brothers, Dragons, Cowboys,
Para.
Souths. It's how are you beating them?
Titans.
And Sharkies, look, immediately Souths just have given up as soon as they run out there, right? Hines scores untouched on the right side.
Just shit defense.
Just shit. Just shit. Like, Wyden comes in on the back rod. Normally he's better than that, whatever. 10 minutes later, short ball, Nikora. That was an amazing line. Like, as good as you'll see from a back row, scores under the post. And then, that's pretty much it from Sharks.
Yeah, they didn't do much.
They scored 200-meter tries because Souths has just mailed it in on the kick chasers. But outside of that, for the weight of possession and having over 40 tackles in the Souths 20, better Sharks teams will go and put 60 on the scoreboard, 50 on the scoreboard, and these guys just fucking didn't do it.
And 2 40-20s from Trindle as well. Like that.
2 40-20s from Trindle.
In the first half.
Multiple drop balls from Souths in their own half of the field. Souths mailing it in as they're known to do. And Sharkies didn't really... Like, they put him away as far as the result and whatever, but if you laid 17.5 with Sharks and came out and you didn't win, like... That's how fucking pissed off you are.
Yeah, no, I can see that. But
and I'm not even saying the 2 backdoor tries from Souths is you should have kept the high standard. Give them the backdoor tries. That's fine.
They should have scored.
But these guys should have been up 40-0 by the time.
They should have been up 2-3 more. That's for sure. But like in this league, if you just get out with a win at this point, it's like, all right, job's done.
Because what I'm saying is that garbage of Ronaldo and Iro and Kennedy like shifting the ball off the kick chase and going and scoring 100-meter tries, they're not going to score that against Penrith or Melbourne or all these cunts, right? So I'm like, okay, when you get weight of possession, because your forwards can get you down there, that's what they've been doing well so far. How's the backline like connecting, and what's the chemistry like? What's the plays like? And so far, in the Cowboys game and in the South game,
haven't been great.
I feel like what I expect from Sharkies of what I've seen of how good Trindle's been playing, how good of a ball player Nico is, how good Kennedy is sweeping into the backline, and how talented the 3, 4, 2 and 5s are. I feel like with how the games have played out, how much ball they've gotten, getting a sin bin against Cowboys, playing Souths in that heat when they've mailed it in and had no ball, I would have expected 40 on the scoreboard in both of those games, and it just didn't quite get there for whatever reason.
I can see that. I still think they're better, like they're a top 3 side. I don't think there's anything taking away from that because I think Manly, like we don't know. Manly is literally one of the most unknown. And Brisbane, like the way they're playing so far, I would take Cronulla over them. Just the way, because Brisbane, like, yeah, they could beat Cronulla if they don't fucking knock on the ball, but they've shown 2 games in a row that they're easily, like, they're just going to drop the ball every 2 seconds. And Cronulla, like, you can't give them that many chances. So at the moment, they're probably the 3rd or 2nd best team, depending on, you know, where you place Penrith right now. But, like, they've only played South or Cowboys, and next week is basically a layup as well because, I'm sorry, Matt, but literally good luck going there. They're going to be out for blood. So, we'll have to see with that one. But same Sharks. I didn't learn anything from this game at all. It's the same garbage I saw in round 2.
Yeah, no, pretty much. Didn't learn anything much from Sharks. We learned that Souths will just do their best to hang in games as long as they can, and that's it.
That's it. They can't do anything else.
If anything, I would probably give more credit to Souths that they didn't allow the scoreboard to balloon out and embarrass themselves.
Yeah, of course.
And shout out to Humphreys. Like, I don't know why, like, you would sign Dodd or run out Ilias for all those years.
Yeah, that was just
this
stupid.
kid is, and he's an NRL half.
Yeah,
I think we can see.
Well, he's from Manly. He's a Manly, but obviously Manly have the king himself.
The guy that's aging like wine out there, but
you can't.
All right, so far I feel like I've been pretty tamed. Like,
here we go.
Penrith, I gave credit to. Cowboys, you guys genuinely got credit in the loss.
Save it for the next one.
Intrinsically, you sucks, but you guys still got credit. Warriors and Roosters, you guys both played a pretty good game of footy. Didn't mind it. Souths, you guys also suck, but at least you didn't mail it in. I'm going nuclear on these cunts. Fins fucking down.
Fins are
You
down.
flogged.
Done.
I'll let you go first. 18-30, the full-time score. The West Tigers. Wow. Shout out to Harry. Go and get another fucking victory and beat the dog piss out of Dolphins in the second half. Hold them scoreless for another half of footy, which I'm pretty sure they've held the team scoreless in a half every game so far this season, which is insane to me. Chris, they did it again. Coruscant was incredible on that last 20 minutes. What did you think of the mighty Tigers?
Tigers or Dolphins? I'll go Tigers. This is not old Tigers. I think Well, actually, after Manly's victory, they might not be second because Manly's point differential is just blown out the window. But Tigers are in the top 4 right now, and deservedly so. In saying that, what we saw from the next game proved that it is still in them that they could fuck it up to someone, because we've now established Knights. We'll get to them. But Tigers have played 3 not so great sides, and at least they've won 2 of them. In previous seasons, they would have messed it up and maybe only won 1, or maybe none.
Yep.
And this is what you get Luai for, to win matches. And the fact they came back from 18-6 down, they would never do that in the past.
Never, ever.
In saying that, Averillo catches it, you guys would have given up.
Yep.
And from that point going forward, I was like, you know what? These guys could come back. They're genuinely playing better than Dolphins. But they just couldn't get the ball over the line. They made a few silly errors, and Dolphins were able to execute only in the first half, apparently. But Tigers, in any other scenario, 100% could have easily lost this game. But this year does feel a little bit different, and that's why they deserve to be in 3rd or 2nd, wherever they are right now. And I think they go home and play Warriors this week. So maybe a possibility of going 3 in a row, which sounds insane to be a Tigers fan.
For the Tigers, man. It's been a while.
All right, let's lay it on. Let's say, I'm going to say and apologize to everyone. I believed in the Finns. They're fucking garbage.
Yeah.
And they're out of my 8. They're down there in the bottom 4 power rankings wise as well. They're just awful. And it literally is nothing to do with the lineup. It's something that perceives you. You look at the lineup and you look at the names and you go, oh, that's good, but it's not. And it's similar to, I want to say, South from about a year ago. The lineup looks great. Why do they not play like that? And this is all the Wayne effect. 3-0 against the spread versus 0-3. And South look like the team that's upcoming, looks great, and Dolphins are literally at the bottom of the table, all because 3 matches Wayne's out the window. And truly, out of all the new coaches, Wolf has been the worst. After today, you can't even say, you can't put him below Riles. At least they showed heart.
Yeah,
these guys don't show heart at all.
I agree.
And maybe they show heart for glimpses, but the way they allow other teams back into the game when they have the game won. And I don't even think they needed Wayne. I think even with, I don't know, which coach. If you hired Brad Arthur, you'd be 3-0.
2-1.
3-0.
2-1 probably.
Which one would they have lost? Knights.
Yeah.
All right, 2-1. And Brad Arthur got fired. If you had Benji, you'd be 2-1.
Yeah. This guy sucks.
There's a disconnect completely. He's got to be number 1 outside of Todd Payton on the chopping block to go. And simply because that lineup doesn't have the time to fuck around and just lose every single game when you've built a team that everyone knows, all right, if Hammer goes somewhere else, he'll get 700, 800,000. Katoa, will get the same amount. Herbie, probably most paid center in the competition. The cunt's insane. And these guys are just playing like fucking idiots. Gilbert, what the fuck went on in that second half? There was no reason to let Tigers come back. If you score 1 try, Tigers would have literally mailed it in. They would have been like, fuck this. We're not going to win this game. Dolphins scored too many points on us. But as soon as they get you in that vice, Tigers, it's like, all right, slowly we're going to get down the other end, we're going to score. Slowly we're going to get down the other end and score. And that's what they kept doing. And at the end, Dolphins when it even got to tied, I was like, Dolphins have no chance from here. Tigers are going to run away with it. And they did. Shout out to Happy Coruscant. No matter how many years go under your belt, you are literally incredible. And if they pick Reece Robson for New South Wales, I'm going to strangle Laurie Daly.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll do a quick recap of the game. So, Tigers come out, make an error, give a penalty away straight away. Bostock scores in the corner. I'm like, that's encouraging from the Finns. And then, sign of a terribly coached team. Immediately, Kafusi, who's meant to be your 250 game fucking forward, state of origin representative, drops at the next set. They compound that by conceding to Taruva 2 seconds later. So your lead and the energy in the building's already gone at 6-all. Tigers, I feel like they were very slow out of the gate in this one. And Dolphins had a stack of possession in that first half. But at least they were actually doing something with it, right? They got to 16-6. They were knocking on the door of the Tigers try line again. And these fuckwits put their 2 stupid fingers up to take the penalty goal.
That's 2-0. 2 times that's happened.
And this was after Averillo had dropped it for the potential to go to 22-6. At this point, I thought Katoa was well in charge of the game.
Yeah.
And the Dolphins forwards were getting a good roll on. Their outside backs were really getting a lot of yardage, carrying it from the backfield. Herbie, who had been a no-show the
insane.
last 2 weeks, looked possessed. Averillo was horse shit. Bostock looked good with the ball in hand, and so did Asako. Hammer Time has even played in 2025. I'll get to him later, the fuckwit. But at this point, 16-6. Averillo had just dropped it. You look like scoring every time you get the ball. You put your two fucking fingers up like a bunch of idiots. And then immediately within 3 minutes of you guys being up 18-6,
It's 18.
Talon De Silva is scooting and putting the ball under the fucking goal line to make it 18-12 within 2 minutes, right? So at this point, what was it?
18-12
sorry,
halftime.
it's 16-12.
No, 18-12. They kicked it 2 before that.
Did they?
Before Talon De Silva scored, don't you worry. And then it went on a 24-0 run.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm getting confused because in the second half, when they had a chance to make it 20 to...
They didn't take it.
That's
Yeah.
what pissed me off. I'm like, well, where's the fuck's your consistency? Anyway, so it's 18-12 at this point. And again, Finns get the ball bunched to start the second half. Don't do anything with it. Tigers are repelling them, which is very impressive in itself.
They get the 2, which they don't take.
Look, they had a chance to take the 2. I was like, please take it. We want to be like a converted try ahead. More than one possession, because Premium sent out Dolphins at a pick'em and it's closed at -2.5. So I'm like, oh, okay. If we can get up 8, then that puts pressure on Tigers to have to score multiple tries. They tap and go, and Ray Stone drops it on the first tackle. Same shit happens like 5 minutes later. They tap and go. Nichols drops it on the first tackle, and I'm like, after all that, we're up 6 points. These cunts are going to lose, aren't they?
Yeah.
And slowly but surely, they just penalty, error, penalty.
Try.
Tigers at this point stop doing their fucking bullshit penalties and errors, and they actually hold the ball and complete a bunch of sets in a row. And before you know it, it's tied. And all that carry on from Gilbert and Bostock and Herbie, every single time Tigers would have dropped the ball, going, yeah, bro, yeah. And Bostock takes a hit up and gets folded in half by Samuel Afainu. And I look at my screen. Tigers are fired up on the 10-meter line of Dolphins, and Bostock's like shaking in his boots. What happens 2 seconds later? Bostock comes in like a flog on the center, and Taruva scores again.
No. That was the Seyfarth scored before that.
So sorry. The previous possession, they conceded the Taruva try, and then 2 seconds later, Carousel deception from dummy half gives it to Seyfarth. Which I truly wonder, has Seyfarth ever scored with another hooker besides Carousel? Probably not. This guy's getting try assist to Seyfarth, for God's sake. Wake up, Laurie Daly.
No, like Reece Robson. He was good in the middle of the
So
park.
at this point, they could have called full-time right then and there, because Dolphins, it's the same shit as when South scored to take the lead.
That's it. They're
done.
Yeah.
They have no fucking life. They have no commitment of doing anything. Clueless with the ball. You have Hammer Time, Farnworth, for these sort of situations of, we need one try, like, let's get it to our star players. I'm not seeing it from these losers.
Yeah, I don't see it either.
And truly, without Nick Karima, they would never score again.
Agreed.
So, and not only that, you can't then proceed to go and concede to Carousel from dummy half. So the tries they conceded in this game, 5 tries to Taruva, which that edge every single week concedes at least 3 tries. A scoot to Talon De Silva and a scoot to Carousel.
But aren't you happy they took the 2 in the first half?
Yeah,
because it's such a good defense.
The 2 came in really valuable to prevent Tigers from winning 13 plus, maybe.
Look.
Really pissed me off, Chris, this performance.
I did. Would they lose to the Bums right now? I still don't think they would.
But that's
between Cowboys and Para, they would beat them.
they could lose to them.
No.
This Dolphins team is fucking despicable.
No,
they lost to South.
No, they won't lose to Cowboys.
No, they lost to South. Anything's possible.
I think South are a little bit above them.
They lost to South, lost 13 plus to Knights, which we're about to get to those pricks.
But they had no forwards, bro.
And lost by 12 when they led by 12 to Tigers. Is there a worse resume so far? Look, Cowboys, they tried their tails off. They played a top 4 perceived side, and they lost by 10. I'm okay with that. Para tried their absolute guts out this week. They ran out Footy Dean. They can't score. Dogs are a well-oiled machine. I'm okay with you guys losing by 6, because at this point, you're just fucking terrible. And we'll get to Dill Bags as well. But this Dolphins team, like, how much more do you fuckwits need to be 0-2 at Redcliffe, playing a team that's you're supposed to be comparable to, go up 18-6, and then just concede a 24-0 from that point forward?
I agree, but I still think that they've shown this much more life than the other 2.
They haven't shown more life. They've shown more capability, sure, but not more life.
Yeah, well,
they've been the most lifeless team in 3 rounds.
Okay, capability is everything in this sport. Like I said at the start,
I'd completely disagree with you.
I don't think if you put them against each other, I'd take Dolphins in any scenario.
Okay, sure, Dolphins, you're better than Para. You can't win a medal for
No. I'm saying we're already completely wrong on them. But I'm saying in terms of being the dirt of the sport, Para and Cowboys are in their own tier.
Yeah.
I think Dolphins...
Look, are Para and Cowboys worst sides? Probably.
Yeah.
But Dolphins are the cunts that they actually
and the
have,
most promise. Yeah, for sure.
They have it within their control to be better.
Course.
I genuinely don't think Para can be better than they were today. I don't think Cowboys could be better than they were the other night.
No, I don't
Dolphins, I know if they had woken up to themselves, they would have just won that game, but they didn't.
So they're the most disappointing.
But
sure.
I did say on the preview, look, if these cunts lose and we lose our money on them, that's right, because that means Tigers won. So let's talk about the other side of the ledger. Tigers...
They've woken up.
It's changed. Everything's changed at this club, and it's beautiful to watch. How many off seasons have we been like, all right, they signed this guy. Now they're going to be different, and they do the same dog shit. All right, now they signed Coruscant, which I don't think we bought the hype when they signed Josh Reynolds and Russell Packer and James Tarmow and all these losers. We were like, they're still garbage, right? But when they signed Coruscant, I was like, okay, that's someone you can put the captaincy on his armband, and they can follow him into battle, but they didn't even follow him into battle. So I'm like, all right, we need more.
Well, look.
And now they finally have more. Jerome Luai, is he passing... Is he getting 6 Dally M votes because he has 4 try assists a game? No. Is he deferring to Galvin as far as throwing the footy around? Yes. Does he just demand a lot from these boys, him and Coruscant together, that, all right, if we're down 18-6, it's all right. Just stay in the contest. I don't think they could hold... Not that he's individually doing it by himself, because everyone in the team deserves credit for it, but I don't think as a club, the Tigers' identity would be holding team scoreless for half after half without these two players there. So, thank God, culture's shifted. As Chris alluded to, your competition or your draw perceived to up until this point has been probably on the lower end in terms of teams that they've played.
Well, Knights, yeah.
Which, if they had played Knights with Coruscant and
they
Boa,
would have smoked them.
They would be 3-0 right now, right? So you can only play what's in front of you, and they have played quite well.
They have.
And they deserve all the credit in a sport that I don't know week to week, like what to take out of these games. I can take out Tigers are actually all right. And that's a lot to say.
I've got a hot take, and I don't give a fuck because I'm a Tigers fan. I'll put them power ranked above Brisbane right now. Brisbane have smoked one team and didn't look great in either of the other two. And got raped
by Raiders.
And defensively, they don't look great at all. Tigers are the complete polar opposite. And Tigers, they haven't played anyone to the caliber of Raiders or... right now, they could be favourite against Roosters.
Tigers?
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably would be.
Yeah, so, or
it'd be close.
It would be close. It would be Pick'em or something like that. It would be close right now. And they would be a favourite against Cowboys. Don't worry about them. But, right now, I would have them in the top 6, power rankings-wise. They're playing out of their mind. And it's just the culture. It's literally nothing about it has changed. Galvin is playing the same way.
Yep.
And it's all just culture. All right, we're going to play for each other. This is it. And everyone was saying, how many missed tackles they had. And I even said it. How many missed tackles have they had? It doesn't matter. They could have 100 missed tackles. They're playing for each other. And they're actually there every single time. And that's why their defense is so good. I think Tigers, they're basically, they're almost in the 8. And based on the 2 performances, the only team, I'm going to give a break to this week is Raiders. Knights... I would take Tigers overnight. It doesn't matter what.
What about Titans?
Fuck Titans.
They played good.
Fuck off. Don't get me started on Titans. Tigers above all.
But I had Tigers in my 8. I feel good about it. They're
better than South, so don't get me started on them. There's no one it's just Raiders. So in terms of the 6 teams in front of them, they're all going to make the 8. They're a shoe-in unless someone dies. Literally from Bulldogs up, everyone's in the 8. It's the 2 spots right now, and I think right now it's occupied by Raiders and Tigers.
I'm still not ready to conclude that Tigers are a defensive wall.
No, they're not a defensive, but they can score more. I think
the encouraging thing is I think their attack can get much better than it has been. Yeah, and it's been good enough to get wins so far.
Exactly.
So that's good.
I don't think they're Luai hasn't done that much. He just lets Galvin run the ball, and that's why Taruva has 10 tries, and on the other side of the field, Skeletor has 1. Yeah. So I think that's the biggest thing. But Tigers can play a lot better, and shout out to them. 2-1, third or whatever you are.
Thank
probably
God.
Third,
yeah, finally.
Manly.
Some hope for the Tigers fans. Thank you, Tigers. Moving on swiftly to Knights. They scored 6 points against the Gold Coast Titans in what was probably my most confident bet of the round. Obviously, Premium got Titans at $2.20, I
No,
think.
+3.
Plus 3.5, excuse me, which they closed at about -1 point favourites, 4 point swing in our favour. Didn't need it in the end. One-way traffic for pretty much 80 minutes of this game. Knights never led at any point, never really looked like leading, and they go and mail it into Titans after starting 2-0, which seemed to be the theme of the round. A lot of these 2-0 teams went and back down to lesser opposition and got humbled in a way, which I definitely think the Knights were humbled. Chris?
I was under the impression Knights are gods.
Yeah, so now after what you watched, do you now think Knights aren't gods anymore?
Oh, are Knights not gods anymore? That's surprising. I thought they were the greatest team ever put together. And conveniently, as soon as they go to outside of McDonald Jones Stadium, they get absolutely hammered. And everyone's going to be like, but Lucas was out. Oh, bro, Kyle Pierce-Paul was out. Oh, Leo was out. You didn't even look like scoring. Don't worry about forwards. Zero offensively. Zero. I mean, a team with Kalen Ponga should never be rated 0 offensively. And you went back to the same garbage. And like we've said for the past 2 years on this podcast, Adam O'Brien isn't any good, right? Half the time, this guy just gets away with it because Kalen gets the ball. Actually, they pass it to him and he goes and does something genius. They're actually structurally not good at all. And it proved in this game. Were Titans good? No. They were awful as well. The fact...
That's a bit harsh.
No, they're not good.
I thought they were very good.
No.
What more do you want from these losers?
You know they're going to just go make errors.
Yeah, but they made the errors, right? But they held 9-6.
Yeah, but...
Are you just going to say that's all Knights and nothing to do with Titans?
Like I said right at the start of the podcast, right? Nothing about this sport means defense anymore. The way the sport is reffed, the way the sport is actually... The way the 6 again works, defense doesn't mean shit. Because half the time, it's not the defense, it's incapability. And Knights were incapable. Titans are not some defensive wall. Neither are Tigers. The only team that can say they're a defensive wall is maybe Tigers after round 20, Dogs, and Penrith. Everyone else cannot defend. So Titans to go out there and go, oh, but we defended against Dogs when after the first half, and then this game they only let in 6 points. First of all, you played Dogs and Knights, who are both incapable of scoring anyway, like on a just general basis. And Knights literally their offense was passed to the center of the toe. That's what they did. Did Kalen even touch the ball?
Yeah. It was back to the old Knights.
It was the old Knights. So it's not the fact that Titans, like, on another day, Titans would be incapable to defend and they'd lose 30-26. Truly. That's Titans for you.
Look, I actually came into this game extremely confident Titans were going to bounce back and win. And we came on the pod and said, look, the undefeated team versus the winless team by round 3. Normally you want to take the winless team. Didn't work in the Dolphins game. Really worked in this game. And just worked by the skin of its teeth in the Parra game for them to just barely cover, right? But this was the one that I think, when I look back at all 8 games of this round, this was the one we got really right in terms of how did the game play out, what was the score at the end, and how did the both teams look. So Knights essentially, for the first 15 minutes, had 99% possession in the Titans' 20, and they didn't score. And when Dogs had the equivalent possession that Knights had the previous week, they had 22 points on the board, and Knights didn't really even look like cracking them. Titans, for as awful as you cunts were in Belmore last week, I'll give you a massive thumbs up. I thought you guys were really came to play. Physically, we looked strong in the middle. Easily could have conceded 12, 18 points in that first 20 minutes, but you didn't. And I thought in a round of standout performances by a lot of players, Payne Haas in the Broncos game, Lomax in the Eels game, Trindle in the Sharks game, I thought you could put Tino right up there with any of the 3. Fuck me. For a second game back from ACL, there was a couple half opportunities that Knights had. Fletcher Sharp, God, he's getting annoying in the middle of the field. He's so goddamn fast. But Tino was doing those little 1%ers that sort of covered for Titans a lot. And with the ball in hand, Titans obviously, they're potent, right? They can put points on the board. And Knights, once Titans made it 12-0 by halftime, 14-0 after halftime, Knights sort of got into desperation mode, and that's never when they're good. So, one concerning thing from Titans, from my perspective, multiple 70 tackle sets given of catching off on the full in the Knights in goal of Jayden Campbell, just not really being a natural kicking sort of player. And I understand that you have athletic outside backs that you want to give them a contest so the Jojo Fafita can go and drop it anyway. That's fine, but they're really gonna need to rethink how they do their kicks on the 10-meter line, because, like Chris was saying, a team that was executing offensively, you give them 7 tackles after 7 tackles
You're
after
gonna
7 tackles, you're going to concede, right? I do hold Knights accountable that I was going to give them the pass of, look, they'll probably get manhandled by the Titans pack.
But they didn't. There wasn't that.
And possession will be in the Titans' favour, and they'll probably lose 30-16 or something because they'll get tired. But this forwards had nothing to do with Knights.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Right? You could have had Leo Thompson and Pierce Paul, and I genuinely think they still would have scored 6.
Yeah.
And that was after Titans were up 26-0. Bradman scored just a one-on-one sheer force try on the left edge. All the structure and shape that was working in the first 2 weeks. Well, not even in the first week, right? Because they only scored 2 garbage tries. Yeah. All the shit that worked against Dolphins.
Conveniently.
It seems everyone can score 50 points against Dolphins. So Knights, are they back to their old ways of not being able to score?
It's the same Knights.
It's the same Knights. So
there's nothing changed.
I don't understand why. If you guys are going to come to us and be like, hey, bro, Knights are pretty decent side. I'd be like, okay. But you can't come at us and be like, oh, why do you have Knights 9th? You guys are fucking idiots. They're 2-0. Okay. Now did they look like the fucking 9th best team in the league
No.
2 nights ago? Yeah, they did. They're about 9th or 10th. They're not gods just because they beat Dolphins at home.
And Tigers without Coruscant.
They didn't just wake up overnight with Cogger and Sharp in their halves and turn into a fucking top 4 side. So just pump the brakes on Knights.
What Titans did do well was shut down Sharp passing-wise.
Yeah.
I think his run game is always going to be there because he's so fast. But the fact, trying to expose him as a fullback and unable to pass, that's what helped Titans the most. Yeah. And it could be a blueprint going forward. I think something that Melbourne did, which they shouldn't have done against Blaze and Jack Cole, if they did that against Knights would literally not score.
Yeah.
And it's concerning because once one team figures it out, everyone's going to start fucking doing it against you cunts. And knowing Adam O'Brien, you're going to change your half, so don't worry. It's going to be all goods. But
there's a brand new halfback coming for them next year. Which is a good segue, actually, into Sunday Night Fever, mate.
I'm fine with it. We can jump into
Straight into your upset alert. Chris had the Eels beating the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they go down 16-8 full-time score.
I'm going to give myself 2 praises. One, there was only one upset in the round, and we were all over Dolphins, and we got it early. So, look, in terms of I could have picked someone else. Who else could I have picked?
These were your options. Raiders, which lost 50-0. Cowboys, which would never win. Souths, which would never win. Penrith, I guess you could have taken them, but you were all over Melbourne. So
and Roosters, which I'd never take.
Roosters, which you would never take, and Knights, which was so of the upsets potentially outside of not taking Tigers. I think you were on the second best one of the round.
Yeah, exactly.
Which was the most nip and tuck.
So in terms of Parra's performance, literally carve and copy what I said. I knew they would show up. I knew they would play hard. I knew they would show dogs up. Now, the problem is. There's 2 problems. They don't have Moses. Moses plays. Anyone that wants to fight me on the street, they win this game. The dogs offensively, we'll get to them. Wow. But anyway.
What if Moses plays and Burton plays? You keep Kickow out. We're talking halves. Because the Dogs fans would counter you, be like, hey, we didn't have Burton and Kickow.
It'd be really close. I would lean Dogs, just. Okay, I think Burton is a bigger piece to them.
Yeah.
And takes out their issues, which was an issue and is an issue against Para of all teams, which we'll get to them. Para, I think the reason he lost this game is Dylan Brown. And if he's worth $13 million, this should be a W in Para's list. It wasn't. They had enough ball. They had enough sets. Dogs defensively, yes, they're resilient. Yes, they're a good team. Yes, they work well as a squad, but it's Dylan Brown. You're earning $1.3 million a year. They should have got through that left edge at least once or twice. Especially the way, I know Stephen Crichton, regarded one of the best centers in the comp. The way he defends suits Dylan Brown. He's going to come in on you. It's obvious. He's quick. Dylan Brown's quick. He is decently strong. You should, expose Crichton and let your outside backs actually get open. And it's you weren't even there. I mean, no kicking game. You left it to Hawkins, which, as bad as Footy Dean usually is, I didn't think he played that bad today. He actually was fine, and probably better than Volkman was last week.
I think he was better than Dulbach today.
Yeah, well, there you go. But literally, this game boiled down to Dylan Brown not being what he said on the packet. And it's actually incredible. Like, Knights must be looking at this and like, he's going to save us from scoring points. And they scored 6 today, and they're looking at Dylan Brown being like, this is our guy. He's going to save us. He's going to let us score 14 instead of 6. Like, it's absolutely incredible. And Para, look, all I want to say is what frustrates me is that I know this is in you cunts. And you cunts go there and fuck it up every other week. All you have to do is show effort. And when you have halves, Dylan Brown was awful today. But when you have a New South Wales number 7, you show that effort, you'll win games, especially against the bums. It's not going to be hard. You'll beat Dragons, you'll beat Cowboys, you may beat Titans depending on how they play. You'll beat Dolphins the way they fucking are. And you would have beaten this Dogs team because Dogs, we can flip to them, offensively look horrific without 2 players. And I'm going to add Kiraz in there because I think he's the nucleus of the problem. They cannot make meters from the back.
Yeah.
I mean, to be held in your own half by Para, of all cunts, is concerning, one.
The Dogs actually looked like they were playing against themselves.
Yeah, they were in quicksand.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was quicksand.
Which they actually were like low-key in quicksand last week as well.
They were low-key in quicksand last week as well, but like, it's Titans at the end of the day, right? But Para, like, to be in quicksand against Jowie is another issue. And I think once they got down the other end, outside of the Saluka Fafita try, Parramatta decently defended them pretty well. The 2 tries they conceded outside of that, sure, all right? Jerry's going to get through. That was basically carbon copy of the Penasini try. You might as well just 15 all on that one. And same with the Willison try, was same as the Addo-Carr try, right? But the Saluka Fafita one, when that happened, I was like, all right, same old, my upset alert gets absolutely hammered. They're going to quit. They didn't. And I will give Riles this much praise because whatever he said at halftime, again, they show that they're much better than what they are on paper because in the second half, Dogs scored 2 points. Yeah. And they didn't even, like, in terms of offense, it didn't look like scoring at all in that second half. Like, it looked like for once, Dogs were gassed. And Para were just kept going. Look, they didn't get the points on the board. My upset alert lost, fair, but I still think I was on the right side, and I feel pretty shit that it didn't actually win because it should have actually won. I think everything I said did happen. Dogs can't score. Dogs can't get meters from the back. They can't kick it as far without Burton, and their left edge might as well not have been existent. And Para just couldn't get the points on the board. I thought their effort was incredible, and same with the Cowboys. Exact same scenario. It's in you cunts. Para at least have a shining hope that they have a player coming back. Cowboys, on the other hand, they're this close to quitting.
All right, I'm back you up on your upset alert, mate. Yeah. It was not a dead tip.
Yeah,
these cunts. I was more inclined of thinking Cowboys were fire up than these losers because I thought they're really bad.
They're really bad.
That second half was probably one of the most enjoyable halves of footy for me to watch this entire season.
Yeah.
I saw Para put their life on the line for 39 minutes straight.
Yeah.
Where, for those loyal pod listeners from last season, Para used to do this for like 10 minutes a game.
Give up.
They would actually score 2 tries in that 10 minutes and then give up. These cunts came out of halftime and really bled for the badge.
Yeah.
For 40 straight minutes. And the most frustrating thing for me was in the midst of them making Dogs kick from their 30, and then their 20, and then their 15, and then Para defusing the bomb on their 30, then the 40, then halfway. Right. Throughout all of that, I'm like, these cunts aren't going to score, are they?
Well, yeah.
These cunts are not going to get it to a point where it's tied. They're not going to get it to a point where they're up 2 or 4.
Nah.
It's not going to go to a golden point because they're never going to get that third try.
Well, they just didn't,
and
it's Dylan Brown.
It's because of Dillbags.
Yeah, it's Dylan Brown.
Look, Dillbags, he's been slaughtered in the media, and we're not cunts that would come on and pile on the easy take to just, oh yeah, the whole world's going against this guy, so we'll just kick him further down and down. So when they lost to Melbourne 500-0 in week 1, I was like, any halfback in Dillbags' position, what's the point? You lost 500-0, what do you expect from him? Last week, he looked pretty bad, and we were like, look, that's really bad from this guy, but as a unit, Para dropped the ball a million times and the forwards gave up in the end. All right, whatever. This was the game that, okay, bro,
there's no other excuse. You can't blame anyone else.
Okay. With your performance today, what the fuck are we paying you for? You don't kick. Footy Dean, who that's his first game in a Para jersey, did 99% of
Yep.
all the kicking for you. You don't really run the ball. I can count them off the top of my head maybe four times where he took the line on. In a game that's been ebb and flow and there's fatigue building in the middle and everyone's tired, including Dogs, who have not been this tired for a long time.
Yeah.
Defensively, you guys concede dog shit tries on your edge of the field anyway. So, what the fuck is he there for? Has he mailed it in on Para and he's mentally checked out and he just doesn't give a shit anymore? Okay, just go to the management and be like, hey, I'll play reserve grade, or I'll just give me an early release. I don't want to play another game in this jersey. Fine, that's okay.
That's fine.
But to trot out there and have these loser forwards that you have, Offen, Gowie, Lane, these are terrible forwards. Hopgood played gun. The
second roll was
the debutant
amazing. Yeah.
literally was gone shots on every second play. Shout out to him. All the bench forwards came on and
Riley
really
Smith
tried their
again
best.
was great.
I want to specifically talk about Riley Smith.
Start him, you fuck.
This kid's really fucking good.
Yeah, I know.
Para, who ever since Marnie had left conveniently to go to the Bulldogs, have not figured out that number 9 position at all. They have their hooker. This cunt's gone. He legit came on and completely changed the game for this guy.
And look, on a Dogs team, Dogs winning performance, Lomax was the man of the match. He was incredible.
Lomax was man of the match. I think the Para fans truly could appreciate someone that put that much fucking effort in. And outside of kicking to Lomax, these guys really had nothing in the tank, right? And I put that down to their senior half, their big money player. This was a game where, look, if Dogs won in Golden Point or something, I'll be like, all right, fine. But for Para to have stayed on 8 for that long and not even really come... It wasn't like they got over the try line and dropped it.
Yeah.
They didn't even come close.
Nah.
All they were just getting closer and closer and closer in terms of field position, but nothing actually came to fruition.
Yeah.
So that's my analysis on Para. I think there has to be some selection changes. Until Moses gets back, you cunts have shown you can't score.
Yeah. I agree.
You had one or two dog shit tries
You put
to Melbourne
Lomax
when they
fullback.
mailed it in. You had one try to Tigers. Essentially, you got held to 0 by them. And you had 2 tries to Dogs. I think the second rows need to come in big time. I'm sorry. Madison and Cartwright, you need their second phase.
Yeah.
This is like...
The second phase is out the window, right?
Between Hopgood, Cartwright, and Madison, look, on the edges, you can't defend anyway.
Yeah, it's
right?
fine.
So, if you're going to pick someone like Lane or whoever else and you don't want to pick Cartwright and Madison because they don't D up or whatever, and you're going to go and concede the Saluka Fafita to try 4 minutes into the game, I'm good. I'd rather take my chances on at least we can score with these guys. Footy Dean, if he's your 7 until Mitch Moses gets back, he's not an offensively creating player at all.
Well, that's why you have Dylan Brown.
And literally all their tries this season have just been a young guy cutting out to a winger and scoring.
Yeah.
So I feel like Riles needs to pull the trigger on that. The boys responded to Riles, so I'm not going to say anything bad about him this week. He really got what he could have got out of squeezing this orange. He got all the juice out of it that they could have got. So that's my analysis on Para. But at the end of the day, that was as good as we're probably going to get from Para, and it was still not good enough.
Yeah,
which was unfortunate.
I agree right now.
When I was talking to you on the pod, I was like, even if they try their best, I don't think they can win. And that's kind of like how the game
That's kind of
played
what
out,
happened, right?
So on the dog side of things, shout out to Matt, shout out to Chris Crease, 3-0. I'm sure the Kennel's very happy so far with the results of the season. We saw a 2-0 Knights team go and mail it into Titans, who they're probably better than. We saw a Raiders team that was 2-0 go and somehow just lose by 50 for no fucking reason. And Dogs, the way the game played out and how difficult it got for them in the second half in terms of constantly being berated and under pressure, Dogs showed that they're 3 tiers above these other cunts that are perceived to be getting good or whatever.
They're on their own.
Minus Burton, minus Kickout, Para coming to get them for so long. At the end of the day, they didn't really look like cracking. So the ultimate compliment I could give Dogs is I can tell that every game means so much to these guys that
100%.
How easy would it have been for them to be like, oh, it's getting so hard. We can't make meters, as you said, constantly kicking from our own 30-meter line. We got Lomax to deal with in the air every 2 seconds. The power forwards are physically bringing it to us. The contact's there. We're already 2-0. We're down Burton. We're down Kickout. Bailey Hayward's at 6 for God's sake. Fuck it. We'll just all right, we'll lose 18-14. That's what Knights would have done. That's what Raiders would have done. Mm-hmm. That's what half these losers would have done. So Dogs, the fact that you got out there with an 8-point win in the end and never really look like relinquishing that lead at any point was very impressive to me. Are you guys dead at Shark Park next week? Yeah. Yeah, you guys are fucking dead. But you should die, right? Without Burton and Kickow, your job was not to go 6-0, right?
Yeah.
The fact that you're 3-0 gives you a bit of leeway, especially with that bye coming around the corner, that after the bye you can get your horses back and really push for a top 4 finish, is what I'm thinking.
Well, of course. Next week, like, it would have been a great game if Burton and Kickow were both playing.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
With Cronulla, like, being that heavyweight, and really you can see where you are. But right now, like, I don't know how they're going to make like 20 meters in that game. But that's
the challenge, right?
I mean, hopefully Kiraz comes back as well, because like severely missed him. I mean, he's basically Lomax, maybe not to the level Lomax played today, but
I agree
like that sort of like run meters that you need. And Lomax, shout out to him. I think he had 32 hit ups today, which is incredible.
He honestly should have stayed at Dragons. Did you miss Dragons this week?
Little bit.
Yeah.
Little bit. I mean, do I wish it was Dragon? Look, the last game, Dragons might as well play. It could have been anyone.
This was just...
This wasn't even Raiders.
This was just the dumbest game of the fucking season, in my opinion. Manly and Raiders. Shout out to you, Charles Scroon. I'm going to defend your team after the massacre they just endured. 40-12, the full-time result.
Well, how can you say anything else? Even though I'm an avid Manly supporter, I'm not going to say shit.
30-0 at halftime, which I'm sure will raise an eyebrow in the rugby league circles of... didn't these guys just raid Brisbane? Why are they down 30-0 to Manly without Turbo? This is why the Back Yourself podcast exists. We watch every minute of every game, and we give you... I don't give a fuck what the full-time score is. All right? I will tell you guys what I truly believe in my heart, and nothing else really matters. There was no fucking reason for this game to go 40-0. That's just the dumbest shit I've ever seen. And as far as I'm concerned with Manly...
It's Grant Atkins.
You get their 3 games and just throw it in the bin. That includes when I defended them when they got raped by Warriors. And today, they really don't get much credit from me at all. You know what the tackle in the 20 was for the first half concluded? 41-2.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Anyone would have conceded that many. But that's why is it so inconsistent? And particularly, everyone's just going to look at that sin bin period. It was before the sin bin period that they were getting calls. And then after the sin bin period, they still got calls.
Yeah, it was fucking out of control.
Look, Grant Atkins, you're not like the type of... You seemed like
normally
today...
he's okay. Today he was out of control.
Today it was like you were Jared Sutton. You had to make sure Manly covered. Yeah, it was incredible. Jared Sutton's also 3-0. No. You fucked it up.
South's covered, yeah. How can you overcome
South? 2-1.
Yeah.
Fuck. So watch out. Whoever he refs...
Still profitable.
Watch out when whoever he refs next week, because they're going to cover.
Don't give him the Souths game again.
But look, Grant Atkins, usually you're fine, but fuck me. Manly, look, you're lucky. Like, it's like they were like, all right, if we take out Turbo and make sure he doesn't play, can you give us calls so we can score? They couldn't score, right? Manly can't score without Turbo. I don't think anyone, I think...
Whoever watched the game in its entirety,
they can't score. Sure. But conveniently, he's back next week.
So it doesn't matter.
So they got the win. They raped Raiders by 50, and then they're like, "Oh, well, Turbo's back." So everyone that's going to look at this and be like, "Oh, well, you're saying that Manly didn't play great." No, they didn't. But it doesn't matter because next week, 1, they play Para, which good luck them putting another performance like this against Manly, and 2, they get Turbo back. So it doesn't who cares? Yeah. It's basically a nothing game, and Raiders literally, this was just an objective. Raiders can't start 3-0. That's all it was.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
That's all it is.
Yep.
I mean, there's no other analysis required. How many calls can you give? And no team in the league, like I said, there's nothing about defense. Dogs would have conceded maybe not 30, maybe 24. Penrith would have conceded 24, at least, against that Manly side, the way they played
Can I come on and actually make a case for how Raiders impressed me?
Well, because they kept them out, at least when there was a
Because for that first 20 minutes... Manly didn't actually fucking score.
No, they didn't. And they had the ball.
From that point forward, Raiders got 1 call, and they actually scored straight away.
Yeah.
They got pulled up on a technicality, which by the letter of the law, he did catch it on the inside shoulder before Seb Chris goes through. And immediately from that point forward, Manly go down there. This fuckwit sin bins Horsburgh. And they conceded a try. Okay, fair enough.
It was a tough try.
Yeah. Fair enough. 6-0, Manly crash over after you guys have defended your goal line for literally 25 minutes straight. 12-point swing and a sin bin.
And then KO
What's a sin bin worth? 10 points. All right, 16-point swing. And then this is not like, Cherry Evans to Brooks to Lehigh to fucking this guy and they're scoring the corner. This is Cherry Evans bomb. Weeks drops it. Fogarty stares at it and doesn't ground it for some reason. Manly try. What was the next try? This time, Savage drops it and Bullimore scores again. So instead of being up 6-0, now you're down Horsburgh and it's 18-0 literally because you can't drop the ball 3 times.
Yeah.
So all that half an hour of defending you guys did was just fucking wasted because of 2 drop balls.
And look,
and now you want me to come on and say Manly are God.
And look, this is where we compare Cowboys to this team because, okay, first half was exactly the same. If not, Raiders had it worse. Raiders won the second half. What was Cowboys' excuse?
Yeah. Oh, in terms of week 1?
Yeah. And like, all right.
Well, they've had to play turbo, I guess.
Okay, yeah, but first half, but Manly literally mailed it in.
Yeah.
Like, at that point.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know, we didn't watch the last 20, who cares? It was 40-0. Garrick, I can't believe he scored 4 tries.
I know,
but anyway.
Congratulations on the birth of your daughter yesterday.
And didn't play.
What a way to go and run out and score 4 tries.
Anyway,
sure.
But nothing from me. Our Raiders as good as they were before. I don't think there's anything to tell me that they're not. I think like anyone that had that many sets on their line, especially look, there is teams that wouldn't score 30, so you got to give Manly a little bit of credit. Like there is teams in this league, i.e. Knights, that would probably score 12 and with that much better, and be happy with 12-0, right? At least they like blow it out of the water and they're like, all right, you know what? Grant Atkins.
But they didn't.
Yeah, I know, first 20 minutes.
No, they scored off like directly from errors. Yeah.
Garbage. Yeah, but Knights couldn't even do that.
Yeah, I guess.
Like Knights, I don't know. Titans would score. Dragons wouldn't score. Para. South. Like they wouldn't put them away, right? And for that much possession, regardless of how they got it, they got to 30. And you can't at Brookie. It doesn't matter if Turbo's there or not. Giving Manly like any double-digit lead is like literally give up.
Yeah,
they're never going to come back. This reffing is a serious concern, and I didn't expect it from Grant Atkins. I thought, look, this is the typical game, which didn't make sense, right? Because Wyatt actually reffed a better game. Other than I don't know if you've seen one of the funniest things I've seen from Josh Curran ever.
Right.
So in the Para game, Para got a call for this, which I found hilarious. And I actually think it's the right thing to do. So the refs usually call out who's offside. And instead of the ref calling it out, Josh Curran was walking back to the line after the Dogs took the first tackle and was calling out which player was offside. And Wyatt gave Para a call because it's not the true spirit of the game and misconduct, which is the first time I've ever seen it. But I'm going to defend him. Imagine the refs always call out who's offside to make sure they're not tackle. And these fuckwits tackle anyway 90% of the time. But when they don't, they pull themselves out of the tackle. And Dury pulled himself out of the tackle because of what Josh Curran said. And literally Dogs would have went through. So he was
Dury listened to him.
He listened to him and Dwight was like, no, cut. Basically. Which was hilarious. And Gus was sitting there like, are you serious? But I could see that. It especially the way the refs ref the game and they talk to the players. If someone else says it, that's not the ref. You're kind of like, what the fuck? Yeah. But anyway, I didn't expect it from Grant Atkins, and
Grant Atkins was out of control today.
No, even that in a game that I said at the start of the round as the game around was ruined by this cunt.
Yeah,
and we don't know. Can Manly beat Raiders without Turbo? We don't know.
I really believe if the game was called just normally, I actually think Raiders would beat them.
Raiders would have probably won.
Yeah.
Manly did not look like scoring at all.
No. And they repelled them easily, and Manly, while they still had energy... Look, after Horsburgh comes back on and it's 24-0, the game's over, right?
Yeah.
No one's fucking coming back from 24-0. But when it was 0-0 and Raiders had defended 30 minutes in a row, Manly had to defend these cunts once and they didn't do it.
The only thing is, right, the second half... Right, Grant Atkins, after he did his job...
No, the second half he came out and gave 10 more calls. He's out of control.
He did give calls.
What the fuck?
But Raiders did look genuinely tired. Which fair enough, right? Yeah. But let's say they were 0-0 and that all happened and they didn't score. Manly would get over them in that case. But the game shouldn't have been called in that way in the first place.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I think he completely ruined the game. If he did that. Probably would have gone nip and tuck.
100%.
Would Manly have won by fucking 6 but at the end? Maybe.
Either or.
Could Raiders have won? I think they could have. At the point that you thought Sebastian Chris scored, as someone that was on Manly, we're probably fucked here, right?
Fucked because after all that, usually the team that scores, that's it. They go win.
15 minutes later, I blinked and we're up 30-0. And I wasn't even cheering at that point where I was like, okay, so the Warriors game I lost last week because of a 9-0 set restart count. This is just 15-all for that.
15-all.
I didn't even get to watch I couldn't gather any information out of any of these teams to try and apply it for next week. Because 1 week, Manly got conceded 10 calls, and this week they got 10 calls.
And we're not going to get anything from Manly next week either, because they conveniently play Para. But Raiders, we will get a tell, because Cowboys aren't getting calls, so...
Oh, yeah. So, this was... Yeah, I really...
There's nothing to say. It's just
Raiders,
garbage.
I'm actually curious to go and watch Ricky's press conference and see if he blows up or not. I feel like he won't. He'll take the high road for once. And be like, look, we fucking...
It's hard
we're not gods.
Because the way the decisions are, this 6 again garbage, it's hard to pinpoint, that one wasn't offside, that one was slow. Because it's so fucking quick. When there were full penalties, you kind of understand, right? Yeah. And you're like, why do they keep fucking calling it? But Grant Atkins is out of control.
Yeah, he's out of control.
I guarantee
you.
Literally, he won't give any calls, whoever he curves next week.
Literally, your theory of this was just a plot that Raiders can't start 3-0. I'm coming around on that.
That's all it was.
There was no reason to just go and give 100.
There's no other reason.
Look, were Raiders slowing the ruck down a lot? Sure, but not to that extent where it was just one way.
One way after another, and
then the drop balls and everything.
If he's going to call it like that, then of course Manly will score.
Whatever.
Sure.
Your 3 key takeaways of the round.
Tigers of go.
Yep.
Cowboys are genuinely going to come last.
Yep.
And Dolphins are dirt.
Okay. I will say Penrith are not done. Don't write them off.
No.
Number 1. Number 2. Dolphins are the most infuriating team within 3 weeks of a season I've ever watched in 22 years of watching.
So that means
NRL.
you've got nothing to say about South, which is the first.
And I need to see a bit more out of the Sharkies.
Right. You didn't say anything about South.
They're covered.
All right. We'll see you guys at
as far as punting goes, at least there was a couple of games that Para could have got -7 on Dogs and 1, could have got 8.5 on Para and 1. That's good. Sharks had to fight tooth and nail and have Trindle kick a field goal for us to win. So we end up winning. We lost on Melbourne, won on unders in the Roosters game, lost on Brisbane, won on Sharks, lost on Dolphins, and then we win 3 in a row to end the round.
Yeah.
Bam, boom, boom, boom. So happy with that. 5-3 in the end. Profitable round for the Back Yourself podcast. See you,
Dolphins.
pretty boys, in 48 hours for the preview of Souths and Penrith. Will that be 14.5 against the reserve grade spine? We'll have to wait and see. But appreciate you guys tuning in with us. Like, comment, subscribe, blow up in the comments. I want to hear from you boys. Chat to you later. Peace out.
Peace.